Joining us now is Professor Glenn Smith, a constitutional law professor at Cal Western School of Law. Professor, thank you for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
Let's talk, first of all, I want to ask you about the balance of power that we're going to be talking about here in the next few weeks. But I first want to ask you about Ruth Bader Ginsburg personally. She was diminutive, but she was tough as nails, and I think George Stephanopoulos put it best, saying that she carried such a presence. Your thoughts on Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Well, that's right. She combined great intelligence with a fierce commitment to fairness and the fact that our constitutional rights always grow and evolve, and that the rights of women and minorities and sexual minorities and others be included and respected.
Let's talk about the balance of power now, excuse me, moving forward. We currently see 5-4 conservatives versus liberals on the Supreme Court. This changes everything dramatically going forward, and as George Stephanopoulos also mentioned, could change it for decades to come. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, my thoughts are, first of all, that before we start doing the political number crunching, et cetera, we should honor a truly great American who was on the Supreme Court and made amazing contributions, both in terms of rights, but also in terms of work ethic and personal example of overcoming sexual discrimination. But obviously, you're right that the court is already in a delicate balance with 4 generally liberal people and 4 generally conservative, and Justice Roberts in the middle. And if you replace Justice Ginsburg with someone who's very different in ideology, that could make a big difference and eliminate some of the more moderating influences that Chief Justice Roberts has been able to provide. That's one of the reasons why I think we should definitely push pause here and in no way try to rush through a Supreme Court appointment in the heat of an election battle. That's bad for the court and bad for the country.
I missed the last part of what you said there. I apologize, but I do want to point out you talked about pushing pause here. But back in 2016, Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Senate at the time when Antonin Scalia died and they had to fill that vacancy, he said, the American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice. Therefore, this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president. Can we push pause if the Republicans push forward?
Well, whether we can or not, as your previous speakers indicated, is all a question of politics and inside the Beltway discussions of which senators would respond to which incentives. But let me say that we certainly should, and McConnell ought to honor his view. I wasn't sure it was correct at the time, but it was months before an active election, and the idea that he should go back on his view in 7 weeks before an election shows incredible disregard for the rule of law and the generally less political role of the Supreme Court in our country.
As was mentioned before, we should probably batten down the hatches. It's going to be an interesting 7 weeks. Professor, thank you so much for being here with us. And as you mentioned, we should honor the life and legacy that Ruth Bader Ginsburg left for us. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.